I recently gave a sermonette on February 15th on studying the Bible to get a clear meaning of some of the words in it, and I used the familiar song that was played on KMX radio in the morning, the Lord's Prayer, and as a start for looking at certain words in that song and what their meaning was. Today, we're going to move on to a different word and give a clear or different meaning, but it's part of that word. Most Bible scholars today translate the Greek word agape into the English word love. However, as anyone reading the King James Version of the Bible can see, the Greek word agape is also translated charity in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So what we find is agape can mean more than one English word. So what is the meaning of the Greek word agape used in the New Testament? Can we understand the true meaning of the Greek word agape used in the New Testament and what the writers want us to understand? The purpose of my sermonette is to briefly discuss the meaning of the Greek word agape as used in the New Testament, and I hope we can see it means much more than the English word love as used in most churches today. First, over the years, since the King James Version of the New Testament was translated into English in 1611 from the original Greek language, the English word love has had an original meaning expanded greatly. Today, it can mean almost anything, from loving your dog, loving your cat, loving your car, loving feelings of love, to sex, to lust, to many, many other meanings that not even close to the original Greek word agape. It has become very difficult to understand the original meaning of agape as used in the four Gospels, including the book of John. In addition, it has become, in effect, very, very difficult to understand Paul's original meaning of agape as used in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 in Paul's writing to the New Testament. In the King James Version of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and we won't go there, most of you already know the King James Version, it says charity all the way through it for the word agape. Many people in America today interpret this, by the way, when I was raised in Protestant church, they still do, as almsgiving or giving to the poor or doing charitable works like making a donation to a charity or working for a charitable nonprofit organization. They take that out of chapter 13. But that is not the original King James translated meaning of charity from the word agape. There's a different Greek word used for alms, which is charity, and is nowhere close to the Greek word agape. For example, and we won't turn there, you can mark it down though, Acts chapter 10, verse 2, and Acts chapter 10, verse 4, the Greek word is correctly translated into the English word alms there, or as we know it today, meaning charity. To begin with, many years ago, I learned when I took New Testament Greek for 2 semesters in Jeff City that the Greek word agape does not appear in any other Greek literature during the New Testament time, at least per that instructor that I had. He said it was a new word that the apostles created to define God's love and God's benevolence. He said God puts agape love into us, and that is true, folks. So in New Testament, charity is godly benevolence. So then we turn to the word benevolence. I looked it up in the Greek dictionary, the word agape, and it does have a second meaning of benevolence. What does benevolence mean? Well, if you look up the word benevolence in your local dictionary, number one, desiring to do good for others. Number two, actions intended for benefit of others rather than profits, meaning no payback in money. So here is why the King James in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 uses the English word charity. For the Greek word agape in Paul's writing is meant to mean benevolence. In other words, desiring to do good for others with benefits to another that bring no profits to ourselves. Many of you remember Herbert Armstrong's definition of godly love. He said it's an outgoing concern for others equal to or greater than ourselves. Or the give way of life is the way he quoted it. This fits agape exactly. When we look closer in the definition of agape, that's interpreted the word love, it's basically the second commandment given by Jesus Christ in Matthew 22, verse 34 through 40. Why don't we turn there? Matthew 22, and that is where agape is used. Starting in verse 34, Matthew 22. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sanhedrins, or the Sadducees, to silence, they gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. The word love there in the original Greek is agape. Verse 38, this is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. And there again, the word love is the original Greek agape. So in conclusion, please realize when you see the English word love in the King James Version of the Bible, the English word love by itself is not the best translation in every case. As I have shown, the Greek word agape, translated commonly as love, means much more. Please read it at least as godly love and godly love for your neighbor. Hopefully, this will clarify what the New Testament means when it says love. Finally, I believe in this church, we have that love. And we pray for each other, we help each other, and we take care of each other. So let's continue that love throughout the church and demonstrate it to our friends and neighbors around. Let's keep looking forward to when we will all fully understand godly love in God's kingdom in the wonderful world tomorrow.